something you'll have to experiment with. Beans, I think beans are going to be one of our workhorses of warm weather anyway, survival crops. They have a low profile, okay, so it's a guy would have to, or somebody would have to crawl and still stay pretty low on top of that in order to really conceal himself in a field of beans. As far as the hideability or the concealment of the beans itself, I'd say that's fair. Most people probably wouldn't recognize a bean plant, without seeing the beans actually growing on it. If you had to break up your crops and a little here, a little there, instead of straight line rows and big fenced-in area that screams garden like we have. If you do small plantings of them and such, people might not recognize a bean plant for what it is. The nutrient needs, beans are very easy to grow. Like we've talked about, if you inoculate them, they're actually going to add back nitrogen to the soil and such. So we give them a rating of very easy to grow. Seed saving is very easy. I'm kind of piddling around with this while I'm talking here. If you can't save bean seeds, I don't know what to tell you. You need to go back to school or something. Storage is fairly easy on green beans. We normally can them. You can also freeze them. Of course, we don't want to depend on that for bad stuff happening in that as well too. The beans also get a plus for the fact that there's multiple harvests off one plant. In other words, like we talked about previously, when we grow a corn stalk, okay, it's putting all of that energy, into the 5 or 6 or 7 foot high growth, and it's producing one single ear of corn. Okay, now there's many seeds in that without a doubt, but that's a lot of energy, a lot of nutrients, a lot of fertilizer, a lot of water going into one single ear of corn. Whereas we look at some of these different crops, beans, peppers, potatoes, squash, tomatoes, we're going to give them pluses for the fact that they create a multiple harvest and such as well. Broccoli would be our next one, cool weather crop. Broccoli isn't going to, and again, this is going to depend on your location, on your area of where you live. Down here, it's a cool weather crop because you can't keep it growing hardly in 100-degree heat. The profile is medium. You saw some of those were about as high as waist high and such. You had a big patch of those. Somebody could possibly conceal themselves in that. They're kind of, as far as their hideability or how easy it is to conceal them, it's kind of hard, kind of tough to conceal a broccoli plant. Plus, most anybody knows what that looks like, especially if it's headed out, if it's full out of the head and the top and such. Seed saving, it isn't too tough, but it's not as easy as beans or peas or something like that. We give that a medium. The storage of broccoli, of course, is going to be pretty tough. In general, it's best kept frozen. We normally just eat ours fresh. So you would have to, if you were planting that, you'd have to do successive plantings so that you don't get one big super harvest and have no way to put it up. You'd plant enough for a week or two and come back in a few days, plant another week's worth, that sort of thing. Broccoli does get a little bit of a plus for the fact that after you cut that main head, it will side shoot and such, as we've shown in the other videos. And if we need to take a break to fit the time, you tell me. Carrots, these are a good cool weather crop, at least down here. Now, we have some still going out there, and it's mid-June, very hot here. But in most areas of the country, it's going to be a cool weather crop. It's going to be one of those things that you can, down here at least, we can grow, put in the ground in September and December, January, enjoy fresh carrots and such, even when it's maybe only 40 or 50 degrees outside. They have a low profile, which is excellent. They're pretty hard. We gave them a rating of excellent on the hideability. You saw them out there amongst the weeds that look just like the carrot seed. Carrot plant. A lot of folks aren't going to recognize that. They'll stumble right through it. So again, if you're doing some guerrilla gardening, establishing crops in the middle of a national forest or something like that because you don't have a retreat yet, carrots would be a big plus, along with your stuff like asparagus that isn't going to need you to be out there every so often to tend it. The nutrient needs, carrots we give a medium. You can grow them with hardly anything other than a little rabbit manure and such like that. However, let me know again too. However, you're really only going to get a decent crop of them, you know, a decent sized carrot and such, if you use some fertilizer and use some nutrients in the soil. So we give that a medium. Seed saving is a little tough because it's a 2-year type deal. You're going to have to leave it in the ground for 2 years to get seed out and such. Storage, we give it a good. Wouldn't say excellent, but it's good. You can can it, you can freeze it, you can dry them, different things like that. Probably should have given it an excellent as far as the storage. Next one we're going to talk about, sweet corn. This is going to be, and again we're talking about vegetable corn, not the grain corn like the whole dead corn and things like that. Sweet corn is going to be a warm weather crop. Okay, you're not going to be able to grow it in some of these regions where you may only have a 90-day, warm weather growing season. Okay, it's got a high profile, as you saw there in the start of the other video, or maybe this one, depending on how it edits. We concealed the target down there. All right, it was was panned back and forth and zoomed in and out several times. Most folks probably didn't see it there until I got really close in on it. So the high profile, especially if you're growing that on your outer perimeter and things like that, could be a problem because again, somebody could get in, use that as a way to sneak in that. We're at 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead and stop it. Okay, again on the sweet corn, it's a warm weather crop. On the profile, we give that, it's a high profile. It's a very tall plant. Again, somebody could sneak in, conceal themselves in there if you have a big crop of it. And also and it might not just be for them going in to, take a shot at you or do somebody harm. It could be just a concealment route for somebody to come in, snap off an ear here and there, and take off. And again, it's most people that are going to try to do stuff like that are hungry, they're probably not going to make a mass, zombie-like assault on your main gate of your homestead or of your retreat. They're going to sneak around. They're going to do stuff like that. Well, let me get through this, through this fence, go over, snap off a couple of ears of corn, and disappear. So again, corn has a really high profile. That's one of the bad parts of it for a survival crop. Very hard to conceal or hide corn. The hideability factor is very low. Everybody pretty much knows what a corn plant looks like. And again, the way you have to plant it in blocks kind of gives it away in that as well too. The nutrient needs are very high. I kind of beat the dead horse there on all these videos complaining about that. So again, it's going to be something really, really tough to do organically, or if you're very limited on what you have as far as fertilizers. The seed saving, really easy. You let the cob dry out, and then you bust the seeds off. We could make that a lot harder than what it really is, but that's the simple boiled down version of it. But the seed from corn doesn't seem to be viable for very long. Your germination goes down big time after about 1.5 years, 2 years. That's our experience with it anyway. And then last but not least, storage is one of our factors. The sweet corn stores really well. You could eat it fresh, you could can it, freeze it if that was still an option, that sort of thing as well. Lettuce is going to be a cool weather crop. Profile, it does have a low profile, which is very good. The concealability or the hideability is very fair, amongst a bunch of weeds and such. Most folks probably wouldn't recognize lettuce unless it was, say, like a iceberg, like a head type lettuce. If it's the leaf type lettuce, romaine, things like that, most folks might not recognize that. Again, so for watching out for scavengers and such or trying to hide our crops, it's an important thing. Nutrient needs are medium. It doesn't have any super high demands, at least that's not our experience with it. But it isn't very easy in the same token. Seed saving is fair. You'll get seeds off of there. It's kind of like the broccoli, like we showed, for lack of a better term. It raises up a little bit and puts out seed heads from there. And storage, lettuce just doesn't store. So again, you're going to have to use that fresh. Where are we at time? Pause.